Welcome to Kesher Nafshi Live. We just had an unbelievable Shabbos here in Stamford, Connecticut. This is the 6th annual Kesher Nafshi event, I believe, Shabbaton. I'm joined here by Rabbi Shlomo Lando. I think it's your first Shabbos here as well, right?
First Shabbos, but it was probably one of the most amazing Shabbos in my entire life.
It is, and I guess for people who don't know about Kesher Nafshi and what they do, how could you sum it up for people?
It's a community. I feel like the end of Shabbos, it's a family of Jews from every walk of the life, Chassidim, Litvak, Svardim, every type of Hasidic guy, every type of Litvish guy. And we're brothers because we're united by a very unique and special challenge, which is that we have sons or daughters, or multiple sons and daughters, who have challenges in their Yiddishkeit and their emotional life. And we just come together this Shabbos. Everyone checks in their baggage at the door.
Yeah.
And we just spend Shabbos like brothers and sisters. It's you can't describe this experience unless you're here.
Exactly. And if you weren't here, you missed out. I mean, this was unbelievable. The lineup,
incredible.
Shlomo Landau, Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson, Yossi Ben Shushan, Rabbi Hillel David,
Dr. Russell,
Yaakov Solomon, Rabbi Hissinger. Like, there's so many superstars here. I saw the flyer for this event. I said, this is something I need to be by.
100%.
This is unbelievable. And for those who weren't here, how was Shabbos? Like, what was that feeling?
I'm not sure if there was like more inspiration and more connection than food, or maybe more food. Or
there was a lot of food.
It was so much.
There's a lot of food, and there's about to be more food.
So I'll tell you something crazy. I'm probably not here. This guy is like, it's like 12:30 at night. He's still eating, and he says, "Mika Amcha Yisrael." We could just eat a whole Shabbos.
We could.
More serious. Like it was like off the charts in terms of, the presenters were amazing. Everyone was authentic. Like,
yeah.
I got to share with you just one thing.
Sure, please.
So
that's what we're here for.
I left my hat on like one of those counters over there. Twice I left my hat there. Both times I came back.
It got replaced by a Stremel?
No. Some guy put his hat under my hat.
Ah.
Usually, they put your hat on your hat.
Wow.
That's the kind of guy. Everyone cares more about the other guy than they care about themselves.
So I walked in here with a black hat, but I'm leaving with a Stremel. Like, that's I'm so excited. The Stremel is just worth more money. So
I also noticed you got the long.
Yeah, I've got the kapata going. The Stremel. Maybe if I sell the Stremel, I can afford a mortgage in the 5 towns.
Probably could.
If I don't, then whatever. We'll see.
I don't think a Stremel is going to do a mortgage in the 5 towns. No. But I don't live in the 5 towns.
Takeaway. What's the takeaway from the Shabbos for you?
First of all, that like every single person that's at the Shabbaton kind of seems like a regular person. They're successful. You could tell people are professionally successful, socially successful. And sometimes you just see families and you're like, oh, I wish that was my family. We all have our struggles. We all have our challenges. Like I say here in Yiddish, we all have our pekel.
Yep.
And the most amazing thing is every person here is doing so much for their children to make that pekel a little bit lighter. I feel like I should just get a bracha from every person here, and I can live the rest of my life just on being here for Shabbos.
Absolutely.
It's really incredible.
Said it perfectly, Rabbi Shlomo Lando. Thank you so much
nice being with you.
for joining us.
You did a great job also.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right.
And we're going to welcome up our next guest. Alrighty, thank you. What is
Rabbi, now I know I've made it.
What is Kalish?
I'm sitting next to Nachi Gordon.
Okay.
Now I've made it.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from?
My name is Yitzchak Hiziger. I live in Lakewood, New Jersey. I'm zeicha to work for Art Scroll.
Yes.
And
shout out to the Zlatowitzes.
Of course.
Reb Gedalia, Shlita, Aaron. Yeah.
And the rest of the crew at Art Scroll. I'm zeicha to write for the Yated as well, which is a unique opportunity. But we're here.
Also, I think you're in a book. Am I mistaken?
I wrote 3 books.
Yeah, but you're in a book. You're in a special book that if kids are reading.
That is true. Well, I wasn't going to say it's my claim to fame, but
but if you can figure it out, you just think kids' books, maybe an uncle book. If you can cash in a free shot at artscroll.com. Promo code Uncle Maishi. Okay, check it out. So how was Shabbos?
So when they asked me if I would appear on this panel with you here for a couple of minutes, so of course I said yes, because anything Kesher Nafshi asks, you say yes. My only hesitation was that I'd get too emotional, I'll be honest with you. Shabbos was incredible. First of all, you did a phenomenal job today.
Thank you.
Moderating with 4 giants on stage. An amazing conversation. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. like Rabbi Landau said so poignantly, everyone who's here this Shabbos, even those who are here in a professional capacity, check their baggage at the door. I just met a parent before who said they don't want to leave because it's like a safe cocoon in here. There's no judgmentalism, there's just support, guidance, unconditional love.
I think you said it perfectly. This is as well my first Shabbos here, and I've been to quite a few conventions, even in this very hotel.
Right.
But the feeling was just so different. From Thursday night to Friday to Shabbos, everyone checked their ego at the door. You walk through that door, there was a certain vulnerability that existed.
Yes.
You're saying that we need help.
People don't mind being vulnerable. And it's really an incredible thing. If I could say, I think that every parent, no matter who they are, no matter who their children are, could benefit from Kesher Nafshi. Obviously, this weekend is designed to help those who need help. But here we are surrounded by some of the most incredible parents, educators, speakers, people who have been through difficult times, those speaking from the trenches. It's just an unbelievable thing.
It is. This is like the NBA All-Star Weekend for Torah.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Like
for chinuch,
you walk down.
I would say this is the All-Star Weekend for chinuch.
Incredible.
Right here.
Incredible. And
right here. And
the session Friday night, Rabbi Russell, were you there?
That was. I don't know how to put it into words.
There's no way to really describe to the viewers what we were able to experience here on Shabbos. I think that if you've never heard of Kesher Nafshi before, I think it's safe to say that this organization would not be able to exist 10 years ago because the world may have not been just there yet. But the fact that they're here now, they're the ones who are changing the world. They're changing stigmas. They're breaking down walls, breaking down barriers. If you have a kid who's struggling, that doesn't mean you need to hide it, and you need to keep locked in your house, and you can't get help, and you just have to just take the pain and keep it bottled up inside. There are hundreds of people here today that are telling their stories. Regular people. Regular people. They daven in your shul. They probably sit next to you. And they're telling their stories. How amazing is that?
It's incredible. The children whose parents are here this weekend are the luckiest kids in the world.
Simply put.
I don't know what to say. Really unbelievable. I sat next to giants, literally, they're giants of character. They're growing themselves. They're allowing their kids to grow. And I think they're being mashpia on the people around them also. Because when they go back home, they're spreading that message of understanding, of tolerance. It's just tremendous growth. Like Rabbi Salman said today so beautifully, it's also walking out of here understanding that it's all the Rabbi Shalom orchestrating this for our benefit in some way, shape, or form. No matter who we are, every person's situation is designed for their ultimate benefit. And we heard so many practical messages of patience, messages of celebrating the small achievements, the small successes.
I heard, yeah.
And these messages are applicable across the board, no matter who a person is. And even in our personal lives, we have to learn to forgive ourselves, our own small personal successes, and celebrate those, and allow us to grow as Ovdei Hashem. And, you know, that's really why this weekend will enable people to walk away and become better people, better parents, better friends, just overall. Let me ask you, Nachi. You're asking me.
Oh,
what was
flipping the table. What is this, RCL Studios?
What was your takeaway? Just one thought that you thought was exceptional from what you heard.
I'm actually really bad at telling over ideas as they were said. I always come home from shul to my wife, and my Rav is Rav Yossi Zakatinsky, and I always try to tell my wife exactly what I said, and I have a problem like giving it over. But I'll tell you the overall ideas that I was hearing from Rabbi Kalish, Rabbi Ben Shushan, Rabbi Russell, is that for parents, right, especially the parents who have children who are suffering, you know what? Look at all that you've done right. That's A. Just because your kid is suffering doesn't mean you messed up and you did something wrong, and you're here. There's always room for improvement, to be a better parent and to right the ship and make the situation as best as possible. But look what you've done right as well.
Right.
Celebrate. Award yourself accolades.
I think you're right, because you have parents here who have very difficult situations, and yet they get up every morning. They put one foot in front of the other, and they're an inspiration to other people. And that's no simple achievement. It's phenomenal. It's monumental. It's world-changing. They recalibrated the way they approach chinuch, even if we weren't brought up that way. And things you said, you made a good point. Maybe Kesher Nafshi could not have existed 15, 20 years ago, and the Rabbi Shalom enabled people like Adalia Miller to found this organization at a time when the world was ready to accept it.
You're absolutely right. I said this before. I said this during the session today. Here with my wife, we Baruch Hashem have, one child, and she's younger than 2 years old.
And amidst Shem, you'll see tremendous nachas from her.
Amen. Being here, standing in a room with hundreds of people, these are the parents that we could only hope to be like. The amount that they're sacrificing for their children. To take a full weekend, Thursday, and people are leaving tomorrow afternoon. Workshops, sessions. For what? You can easily say, you know what? My child rebelled, and he's in this situation and that situation, and
they're pulling me off the stage.
It's like college game day. Anyways, I think that it's just the strength in this hotel right now. The parents in this hotel are the most inspirational people out there, because they walk through the store and they're devoted to being better and to helping their kids cope with whatever they're going through.
That's what it is. And then it's a tremendous resource for parents who maybe didn't have places to turn to for guidance, and today they have a place. They have Kesher Nafshi. It's here to help people. It's here to guide people. Parents across the spectrum should make sure to get a hold of the videos from this weekend.
Yes,
no matter
absolutely.
who they are. Young parents, older parents, experienced parents with married children. They should make sure to get a hold of the videos, watch them, learn the lessons from Reb Shimon Russell, from Rabbi YY, from all the others. And I don't want to take up too much more time here.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank you, Nachi, for everything you do for Klal Yisrael.
Appreciate
You're
it.
a one-man chizuk machine.
Oh, wow.
You, Yaakov, whatever you do, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Keep inspiring us. Keep spreading meaningful messages. And thank you for having me for a few minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
you,
much. And we're so excited to welcome our next guest.
Oh, he's doing it, you're doing it.
You know what? I think I will. How are you?
Baruch Hashem.
How about you introduce yourself to the people who are watching?
Shalom Aleichem, Berichem Abuim, Agite Voch. I'm so excited to be here with all these tired people, tzaddikim and shemaise, herzige people. We had such a wonderful Shabbos, so much chizik. Ahave v'achve v'shulam v'rei. Is that enough? Should bring Mashiach b'kurev.
What do you think is the takeaway from Shabbos? If you had to sum it up into one lesson.
The Shabbos is that the oilam here, everybody is feeling everybody else's matzuvin, and that alone brings the geila. When people feel one for the other, the Gemara says, Chani Amagel said, "Oy chavrise, oy misise." I don't have chaveirim. Doesn't pay to stay in this world. The Vilna Gaon said, "Mishpatei Hashem emes, tzot ki yachdov." The Rebbeinu Shalom, when he gives somebody a tzura, he doesn't give it to him unless everybody who feels pain deserves to feel the pain. So therefore, the more friends somebody has, the better chance he has that his pain should go away. And that's shot in the Gemara. The Gemara says in the Masechta Yimid of Ayin Hai, Dage belev ish yischeni lacherim. If you have a dage, you should tell somebody else, tell somebody who's your friend. So it's mashma from Rashi that even if he can't help you, even if he doesn't have an eitzah for you, just the fact that you have a friend that he also feels bad for you will make the dage should go away. That's what the Goan says. Mishpatei Hashem emes, tzadki yachtov. The Rabbi Shalom, when he judges somebody, everybody around and around, if he doesn't deserve to feel bad, it's not going to happen to this person.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think the people here have all become closer and together, more united from a Shabbos like this. So many people are going through the same tzara and going through a lot of pain. Join together, I think that does a tremendous thing.
Absolutely. You know, if you want me to give a small message, I have a small message to give the Olam, which I didn't get a chance to say by Shalashidis. Not that anybody stopped me, it's just that I felt that the Olam was already itching to there's so many drushes, so many speeches. There's just so many speeches that a person can hear. But I wanted to say that the Heilige Reb Chaim Kanievsky, that we have such a schia, that we live in a generation, that we have such a gudel like Reb Chaim. When he was a little younger, he was in his 50s already, he used to have a seder with his Tata, his Heilige Tata, the Stipler Goen. So he used to learn with him after Mincha for an hour every day. One day, Reb Chaim told his father that today he's not staying for learning because he has to go to Sheva Bruchas. A Yusim is having a Sheva Bruchas, and he wants to go to the Sheva Bruchas of the Yusim, make a Yusim happy. So they daven Mincha, and after Mincha he wanted to say goodbye to his father, but his father was still davening Shemoneh Esrei. And he noticed that the Stipler Goen, he was the Gudel Ador, that he was davening longer than usually. So when he finished, he went over to him and he said, Tata, what happened? How come you're davening such a long Shemoneh Esrei today? Is there any special tzuras in Klal Yisrael? He said, listen, my son, he told me he's not going to learn with me today. So I davened that he shouldn't get weakened. He shouldn't become ugeschwacht in his learning. And Reb Chaim was 52 years old at the time. So
Wow.
he asked his father, so when did you daven for me? In the whole Shemoneh Esrei, there's no place where you daven for children.
Right.
When do you daven? Where did you daven for me? So he said, by Moedim, we say, doir le doir. We daven for the future generations. That's when I daven for you. So I would like to say to everybody here, and I do it myself, that when you're davening Shemoneh Esrei and you get to doir le doir by Moedim, somebody had told me that the reason we do it by Moedim is because when we thank Hashem for our children, that's when we should be mispalel for them. So then we should take a moment and start thinking and being mispalel. There's nothing more important than parents can do for their children than tefillah, than to daven. Chaim Kanievsky, who sees hundreds of people every day for 50, 60 years already, so many different issues that come up. He always comes up with an idea, when an eitzah, what they should do. But when he doesn't find a makor what this person should do for this particular issue, he says, "Medaf mispalel zayin." You should daven. And I think that's the biggest eitzah for everybody. Talk to the Rabbi Shalom. He wants to hear your tefillas, and he's going to answer you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome.
Thank you.
You didn't ask me any shilas. They told me you're going to ask me questions.
We go easy. We go easy on the people who join. Shkoyach, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. All right, moving right along. As you can tell, this is a super smooth process where we got people in and out. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Good vach, good vach. If you just introduce yourself so everyone knows who you are.
My name is Aaron Friedman. I live in Jerusalem. I work with people for 30 years.
Wow.
And Baruch Hashem, I had the schia. I was invited to take a part here. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
Rabbi Friedman, what do you think is the takeaway from a Shabbos like this? The one lesson that people walk out with, or that you are going to walk out with, what is that lesson?
For me, it's sharing, being together with people who go through pain in their life. And for me, it's very touching to be with them and to share with them and to listen to them, to try to help and to try to comfort. And I see it as a big schia, and it helps me personally to touch people, to be with people, plain simple, to be with them in their pain, to be with them in what they go through, and that's all I can say.
In the Rav's 30 years of experience, what do you think is the most important thing to do for a parent who's struggling with a child with Yiddishkeit? If somebody has a friend, let's say, who has children that are struggling, is there anything they can do or say, or they shouldn't do or shouldn't say to their friend?
Many things they can do and more things they shouldn't do.
Right.
Usually we can never understand really and profoundly what a person goes through when he has pain in his life, when he has a problem with his children. What we have to do is show empathy, really try to connect to the pain the person has. It's like a person carries a burden, and if we connect with him, we help him carry it, makes it easier for him. What a person shouldn't do is belittle, make it small, say, it's nothing, and don't take it to your heart. We should never take away the pain and belittle the pain. And there are many things that people say not the right word, and it's always true. When a person goes through something in his life, people out of awkward, they feel awkward, they don't know what to say, but often people say the wrong things to the wrong person. And we have to learn how to listen to people and not judge the people, and try to ask them. Sometimes the right thing is to say, my heart goes out for you, what would help you? What would help you?
Right.
Often people ask me, they tell me their pain, and say, is there anything that could help you? Sometimes it's only the listening, sometimes it's advice on a certain thing, how to accept it. So usually the right thing is to ask the person, how can I help you? I'm ready to help with anything.
How, in your opinion, over the last 30 years, how has Klal Yisrael's, acceptance of children who are struggling has changed over the last 30 years, especially with, enter Kesher Nafshi into the picture?
It's hard for me to answer. I know it would be maybe popular to say that people changed. It's painful. Some people do not know how to accept it. And now I spoke to people, so much pain because neighbors don't know how to accept, and they say the wrong things. There always were people who didn't know how to react. And all of us have to learn, and always there's a place to learn, to teach people how to accept the pain. I thought there's so much pain going on, but people who lost one child, two child, somebody more, there's somebody who lost the most. And there is amazing Vilner Guen, Tuna Devaile Yui, which is Chazal, begins, Hamagit Marashis Achris, how the Rebbeinu Shalom knows everything that's going to be. And the expression is, the Rebbeinu Shalom is a Usher HaSameach B'Chelkoi. So the Vilner Guen asked, but the Rebbeinu Shalom, what does it mean Sameach B'Chelkoi? So he said a moire dike word. The Rebbeinu Shalom has, Ki Chaylik Hashem Amo Yankev Chegel Nachlusa. We, the Jewish people, are the Nachle from the Rebbeinu Shalom. There are so many children, Jewish people, who are off the derech, and it's so painful for the Rebbeinu Shalom, but the Rebbeinu Shalom loves us the way we are, and is a Usher and Samayich B'Chelkel. So I said the one who has the most children who went off the derech is the Rebbeinu Shalom. So it's painful, and we feel the pain, and we can understand, and we can help one another, support one another. The Eibishter should help and should give koyach for people. It's painful. It's not easy. There's nothing a person can say to make it. It's nothing. It's a pain, an ongoing thing. But Be'ezras Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom anoisen leyu of koyach. People should be mechazik themselves, and everybody with what he listens. Everybody has to give in his share.
And then the last question I have is, if there is a set of parents at home right now who have a child, that child is struggling, and they're keeping it, bottled up. They aren't, in touch with Kesher Nafshi. They're sort of worried to go down that path and to enter that parsha. What would you say directly to them?
If they would ask me, I would try to first to show them I understand it's understandable. Some people really don't know how to cope. It's difficult, it's overwhelming. I would try to motivate them to share and to try to come out. Because the more a person hides, the shame grows bigger, the pain grows bigger. When a person opens up and a person dares to share and dares to come out with them, I mean, when it counts, it doesn't count. People are people, and some people will always look, and we have to try to see what's good for us. And it's always easier if you do not have to hide. Living with the secret is a terrible burden, and it's painful. It just makes the pain bigger.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck. Okay, as we move on, you can get the idea that this Shabbos was really an incredible Shabbos, and we're now being joined by a tremendous fellow. Tremendous from Paraflight, am I correct? And we all know that Paraflight is a big help of what we do at Kesher Nafshi. If you could just, let everyone know your name, where you're from.
Hi, Simcha Shein. I'm from a little shtetl called Lakewood.
Very little shtetl called Lakewood. Not many people know about it.
Right.
Simcha, I saw you here the entire Shabbos. Looks like you were soaking it all in, having a great time, going to the sessions.
You weren't here. I didn't go to every session.
Every session. I had this bad luck this weekend where every session I walked into was over like 7 minutes later.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I missed like when they put up, this is the session, and I just,
I had the same thing by davening, but yeah. It's called ADD. I think
luckily
many people here have.
Luckily they had a Chabad meeting, so
Right.
it'd be really hard to miss, every aspect of the feel about.
Right.
What would you say is the takeaway from this Shabbos for you? Like a lesson walking out of this door tomorrow. What's the feeling?
So it's interesting that this is actually my second time being at Kesher Nafshi. The first event that I was at was actually in Mezhbish, which was my introduction to Kesher Nafshi. And in all honesty, I never heard about it before. And I happened, with Mazel, I saw it in the Ami magazine. Quick shout out.
Shout out
to
the
Ami
Frankfurters,
magazine.
Ami.
I saw it in there, and we called, and I didn't know anything about it, but Kesher Nafshi changed our life, changed our perspective, changed how we deal with our children, and it was tremendous. So we went to Kesher Nafshi, and our family grew. I come, B'lei Ayin Har, from a very, very large family, and large, like extended family. I barely know my first cousins, let alone my second and third. And then we went to Kesher Nafshi, and we got another 192 people in our family.
Wow.
And then we came here now, and I'm just trying to think, when we make our next simcha, we need another 1,000 invitations, but it just comes with it. But it's really unbelievable to see when you're in a crowd with so many people. And, Ima Nechi B'Tzara, we're all in this, everybody here, you can look around. I told people, I said, 99% of the people here are in the same parsha. And the reason it's not 100% is because there's the caterer and there's some other people who just happen to be here. But every single person who is here because they want to be here. Actually, not everybody because they want to be here. They didn't realize that they want to be here. Some people were dragged by their spouses, kicking and screaming. I myself dragged probably 15 people here, challenging them, saying, hey, if you come here and you tell me that you didn't get, at the very least, your money's worth, well, I'll reimburse you for all of it. And I have no doubt I'm not giving anybody back any money tomorrow, because it changes everybody's life. When you don't realize, sometimes you sit and you're drowning, and you don't realize that there's life preservers all around you. There's other people in the same boat. Everybody here is in the same boat. You have an opportunity not just to learn from the people who get up and give speeches, and everybody has their own pekel, they really do. But to know there's other people when you sit and network, I think that's the most chizuk that we get. It's not just from the speakers who are unbelievable and they're very talented and they give a great message, but it's not just for the people that we speak to, they give us chizuk. It's when we're able to mechazik other people as well. And you really do it. That's what we spend most of our time doing, just finding somebody and saying, hey, what's your parsha? What are you dealing with? And realizing that maybe the package that we have isn't so bad.
Right.
And I know everybody has their own journey. We all do. And we don't know where we're going to end up. But when you know that you have people in it with you, you have people who are in there with the struggle, people who are going to take your hand and say, you know what? We're in this together. We're just going to go do this together.
Absolutely.
It really changes everything.
That's huge. And I just want to ask you, for people who are watching at home, if let's say there's parents who they didn't come, and they're dealing with this same struggle, and they're just nervous. They're scared. It's a parsha, and like we said, people who walked in through this door, and they made the decision that they're gonna become vulnerable, and I think everyone walking out of here is extremely happy they did it, but nonetheless, to take that step is difficult. What would you tell those parents about taking that step?
I would tell them that everybody who comes here has had that same struggle. But just like anything, you have to take that step forward. And sometimes your friend has to drag you. And they got it, whoever it is, find a friend. You want to do something great, you want to change somebody's life, do it. I think the biggest challenge that Gedalia is going to have with Kesher Nafshi is that this crowd is not getting smaller.
No.
Right? So they went from 50 people to 100 to 200 to 500. We're at 1,000 people. The next one is going to be 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Because every person here is going to come back, and every person is going to get somebody else to come here. At least it's going to be at least 2,000 people.
Wow.
And I don't know what they're going to do. We have to find places that can do it because everybody needs this. The chiyas that people get after coming to such a weekend is immeasurable. It's just tremendous. And the akaras hatov we have for somebody like Gedalia and everybody else who works here, they don't have to do it. They could have said, hey, you know what? I have my struggle,
Right.
and I'm going to deal with it. Then I'll speak to a couple people. When people say, you know what, I have a struggle, I'm dealing with it, and what can I do to help everybody with their struggle? And that's what it is. It's when we help somebody else, we help ourselves. That's really what happens. I think that's what everybody ends up doing. Perhaps the first 10, 15, 20 minutes when somebody gets there, they say, hey, you know what can I do for me? And then when you start helping others and you speak to others, it gives you so much more strength to be able to battle through our own battles.
Simcha, you said it perfectly. And again, if those parents are watching, just reach out to Gedalia Miller, head to Kesher Nafshi's website, learn a little bit about the organization. There is help out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Okay, as we wait for our next guest to join us, who I believe is going to be Rabbi Torsky, in 5, 4, 3, 2. Rabbi Torsky, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
The pleasure is mine.
The pleasure is yours. Okay, it's very nice. So, how was Shabbos for you? How did you enjoy Shabbos? What do you think the takeaway walking out of a Kesher Nafshi Shabbos was for you tomorrow? What are the feelings like?
Number one, it's not my first, so I've done this before, and there's two features of it are just stand out. Feature number one is the sheer volume of pain that's going on. Together with the pain that's happening, and you feel it in the air, you also feel a togetherness that people relate to each other and people connect. I was wondering why they never made an announcement that says, okay, please, anybody who's here, make sure that you sit down by the Yesud Shabbos next to somebody that you don't know and become familiar with them. I realized that they never had to make an announcement like that because people on their own do it. Yes, there are people who know each other from before, they know each other from this kind of connection, that kind, the from community is, everybody knows everybody in some way. But the reality is that this goes on, and everybody's talking to everybody else, and people who I know are newcomers, they walk in and they say, but it's going to be difficult for me to open up and share with somebody else. And I say, okay, you'll find out otherwise. And they do. They come over to me later. It's like, yeah, I just felt it. I felt safe enough to be able to open up and share my pain with somebody else. And it's a theme that is spoken about in many of the presentations about how we have to be in the place where it's more than empathy. It's being in somebody else's shoes. And whether or not the exact details of a problem are identical to somebody else, it's not relevant. Because if somebody's suffering and you're suffering too, you can suffer together. And when you're the together part of it lifts it. there's a very simple mushal where there's this big rock that weighs 500 pounds. No way in the world you're going to lift it. So a crane is going to pick this thing up, and it'll slowly lower it down onto your shoulder. It ain't going to work very well. But if 10 people line up over there, and everybody's standing around, and it lowers the boulder onto 10 people's shoulders, you can hold it up. Any of us can manage with 50 pounds. And when we're doing that, what happens is the boulder still weighs 500 pounds, but we're all participating to hold it up.
That's
that kind of achdus is precious. It's sad that people have to go through troubles to be able to encounter that. It'd be lovely if they could experience this kind of achdus in other circumstances and other situations. But it's happening here, and it's in the air.
That really, you said it so perfectly, and that's really beautiful. I do want to ask you while we have you here, for those who have, I think many people do, if you let's say they have a friend who has a child who's struggling with Yiddishkeit, what are the things that they could or should say to them, and what are the things that they should not say or could not say to them?
First of all, I'm a very big advocate of support systems.
Yeah.
And support systems are they take people out of the jail of loneliness. So just because we can walk around everywhere, but loneliness is a horrible feeling to have. Picture yourself. Let's just get out of our subject matter for a moment.
Sure.
You get invited to a wedding, and you show up at the chasana hall, and you realize that the chasana was last night. And you're walking in to a simcha hall, and there's like 500 couples running around there, right? And they're presumably nice people, but you don't know anybody there. The two families making that chasana are no connection to you whatsoever. Not location, not your social group. Nobody's related. You're there with there's 1,000 people in the building, but you feel disconnected because you don't know anybody. That's a mental state of loneliness, right? You're not alone. Look at the word alone and lonely are two very, very different words. So that what we're experiencing here is breaking out of that loneliness, and we need to help. If somebody approaches us, I want to get them out of that loneliness immediately, because that's just going to help drag them down. It makes them become defensive. It makes them sad. When you have those kind of processes going on for you, you're not able to function well, and that means even to function in other areas of life. You know, it's suffering, and if there's nobody that you can tell, nobody you can talk to, the pressure is really difficult for people.
Right. So that's how I guess it's so crucial for people who need Kesher Nafshi to reach out and to join this family, because the support is here, and it may have not been around in the past. But would you say that times have really changed?
Times have changed where there's a lot more openness to this, a lot more acceptance to this. You know, I've been involved with Mask from its inception, actually from before its inception, and there was talk about pulling off a weekend retreat of some sort. There's a variety of reasons why it didn't materialize, but when the idea came up a very long time ago, there would not have been community support for that.
Right. Why is that?
Fact, well, there was a lot of resistance to doing much of this where it's public, and we've now opened up and we're capable of talking. I mean, I just from the parents that I'm meeting with while I'm here, and listening to some of their situations, they're extremely difficult. And even today, there are certain things that will not and cannot be spoken about in a very open forum. They need to be spoken about in a much more limited way, it's suffering for them. It's just very, very difficult. We're light years better than the situation was 20 years ago. We still have a long way to go.
So what do you think needs to happen for us to be in a place where we look at at Kalish and we say, you know what, the situation as it pertains to kids at risk or struggling kids with Yiddishkeit, we really have a handle on that. We really have a grasp of the situation. What needs to happen?
First of all, I wish I could have the optimism that we're going to be at a place where we've got a handle on the situation. And the reason that that's going to be difficult is that the situation is changing while we're
It's very fluid. Is that because of society or
society? The world is a different place. I mean, when somebody comes and talks about how one of their children is looking to get married to a same gender, the outside world is saying that's a wonderful thing to do.
right?
And in the frum community, we're obviously very, very oriented very differently from that, and it's a challenge to us. And these are things that are not able to be spoken about very easily, and they're not easy to work with because the same kids that are saying, "Okay, I came out of the closet," they don't only want you to not reject them; they want you to accept them with the lifestyle that they're bringing in. We can't do that. I mean, I'm not paskening shilas here, and I want the paiskim to weigh in on it. But the way that the outside world, the secular world, is dealing with this, it's normalizing it, and we are still not ready to normalize it, nor should we be, and that's a dilemma.
Right. We live in a world though that in society at large is going towards a place where there are no more rules and there are no more boundaries. And as from Yidden, we have rules and we have boundaries. We have a Torah that we're supposed to live by and abide by. So if a family is not completely closed off to the outside world and they have internet access and their kids, are just regular kids growing up today, how do you keep that home pure? How do you keep the home safe where the influences today aren't, we see what's out there. We see even, the okay celebrities, not the crazy ones. The lifestyle is completely different and what's happening is not okay by our terms of what life should be.
It's very difficult. Listen, we've always had the nisayon of trying to keep these outside influences from getting into our community. It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle from the time when just the parshas that we've been reading, these last couple of weeks. We need to go to Mitzrayim. The whole idea was they have to be protected from the influences that Mitzrayim had as their environment. This was a challenge that they dealt with from when as soon as they came down. Yosef said, "You're living in Goshen. You're not living here." Because having them to live here would have been, the pasuk in Tehillim, "Yisavu b'Goyim, v'yilmadu b'Sayim." You're going to mingle with the Goyim. You're going to learn from their behavior. So that's something that we had to be protected from the very beginning. There's a reality today. Gullus does not give us the luxury of only living in a contained, insular environment, and our lifestyles do involve us having much to do with the outside world. So we're going to be affected by the outside world, and we have to constantly cope with it. Nobody says it's easy, and it's not going to get easier. There's so much inroad going on, and look, it's the outside world's values today are more like Saddam than anything we've ever seen in our entire history, because they're attacking our core values. And when they begin attacking Sodom began as a society that had extremely tight control over the population. And they did what they wanted to, and the powers that be said, okay, we want the rules to enable us or to permit us to, fulfill whatever we want. Their rules that we look at today, we look at how bizarre they are. These were believed to be such great controls. They thought that they're going to really have it, and it reached a level of corruption that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I'm sorry, this society cannot exist anymore.
Right.
And they were destroyed in a way that it was lights out. It was just turned over instantly. They could not continue existing that way. We're heading there. We're heading there where we have the governmental powers, both in America and as well as other countries, are basically trashing the original values on which all of these societies were formed. And they're not just changing it, they're telling us that it's better this way. It's a huge challenge, and we would to take the choice of moving out and living in our own communities. It's not realistic.
Right.
I wish it was, but it isn't.
So what's the answer? Hold on tight.
I'll tell you what I think the answer is.
Sure.
I don't think that the answer has much to do with creating restrictions and banning things and anything. I don't think those things work. I have to believe if we have 400 couples here this Shabbos, we've got over 350. Actually, 400. If we have, let's say, 800 people here,
Right.
probably have 700 smartphones. Go ban smartphones. It's just not realistic. It's not going
Right.
to happen. It's not about how we ban them. My take on things is if we make our lifestyle of Torah and mitzvahs enjoyable and fulfilling enough, and I don't mean enjoyable in terms of knee-slapping laughter. It's not about giggling. It's not about experiencing pleasure. It's experiencing sipuk and fulfillment. And if we can do a better job of that, our kids are going to stay as part of this. Why do I want to go off and do that when I don't need to? I can accomplish worlds and feel fulfilled by doing exactly what my heritage tells me to do. So it's a place where I look at our systems of chinuch. There's a lot of good in it, but it's so rigid in terms of discipline, as if discipline is the answer, and discipline is not the answer. Discipline is Plan C.
Right.
Plan A and Plan B are about how do you make somebody have a passion and a cheshek for Torah and mitzvahs, and that's what we have to learn how to do. There are some homes that do that. There are some yeshivas that do that. That needs to become standard practice, where people approach Torah and mitzvahs as, this is my life. This is a life I want to be part of. When they don't feel like they want to be part of it, they're going to look for somebody who cannot find sipuk. The nature is to look for second best. You look for pleasure. They don't look for another means of sipuk because they have no clue where to look. So they look for various means of escape and various means of pleasure. All the addictions fit in there. Various lifestyles fit in there, and they're given this artificial value as if it means something, and it doesn't.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, nobody's terribly happy about it. Look, you could have had a wonderful meal today, right? The food was great. Now, what do you have from the food now? Nothing. But you did sit with somebody at the table, and you had a meaningful interaction with them, and you either got to know somebody that's becoming a colleague, a friend, whatever. Those relationships last. the good the good food does not last.
Right.
And if we're honest about it, we have to realize that pleasure is not the substitute for fulfillment. Hana does not replace sipuk, and we need to help our children achieve sipuk. They have to have means of a pathway where they find it, and then they can be passionate about it. But somebody who doesn't have that is never going to find it.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Tversky, for joining us.
It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. We will take a quick break, and we will be right back with another guest, or actually not. We're just going to go right into it and have our guest join us right now. We are joined by a good friend of mine, Mr. Benon.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Fantastic,
So tell us why you're here this Shabbos. Tell us what your relationship with Kesher Nafshi is.
I would say I like to call it alumni.
Okay.
This program has given me a lot. It helped my parents form their parenting, and I've been speaking at their events for the last few years. But I really just like giving back a little bit because I feel like their style really helped me and helped me through my journey, and now I want to just give back a little bit.
Right, and so you've been speaking at Kesher Nafshi over the last few years, and you spoke beautifully yesterday, last night. Could you tell the people at home a little bit of what you talk, what your message is, and what you're trying to give over?
Yeah, I would say the main point of my message is there's very rarely, I don't want to say never because you never say never, but there's very rarely an atheist in the foxhole. Like, these kids, despite what they say so many times, you can ask a kid what's wrong and they can't direct what's really wrong. And the same could apply to what they look like versus how they really feel spiritually. So when the kid is telling you, hey, I don't believe, I don't want to wear a kippah, I don't want to keep Shabbos, that doesn't necessarily mean that spirituality and Yiddishkeit is out of their lives. It just means that they're hurting and there's something blocking them from being the people that they want to be. And I think it's very important to know that and not try and push that. Just try and be there for them, be a proper parent, and love them unconditionally.
In your experience, you feel that what behavior helps the kid, and obviously it's case by case. Everyone's different, and everyone works differently. But in your experience, someone who, a child who is struggling with Yiddishkeit, finding his footing, someone who's in pain, what works? What works well, and what are the do's and the don'ts? And I think it's even more important to really clarify what don't you say.
Well, I would think there, like I said, I was actually asked that yesterday by the Q&A. There's a long list of things that you probably shouldn't say to your kid, but I would think that a good message to give to parents is something where they feel like they're saying the right thing, and really they're not. For instance, when you want your kid to start being more Jewish, as you'd say, and go to Shachris and put on tefillin and stuff, when they finally break out of their shell and they start coming back and doing the things they do, compliment them on the other things. Not, oh wow, you went to Shachris, I'm so proud of you, because it puts it in the kid's head, hey, they're proud of me not because of everything I've done and accomplished and worked on, but they're proud of me because now I'm back like them. I'm back to Yiddishkeit, and all of a sudden, boom, now we're so proud and so happy. No. Be there for them, try and meet them at their level, be proud of them for who they are, and create an environment and a home where they want to be a part of Yiddishkeit and not forced into it.
And I guess that sort of answers what to do. Are there in your experience things that, oh no, don't do that, don't say that, that's not the thing to say right now? Kid comes home late, or the kid's making his parents pull their hair out. What could a parent do in that situation?
I mean, I think it's very important to understand that your kid's not in the back room with a drawing board on how to mess up your life. He's not going step by step, oh wow, I'm going to mess up Dad's day today doing this. He's acting out because he's in pain. So if you understand that and you see, hey, this skirt got a little shorter, it went to jeans. Say, hey, nice pair of jeans. He looks good. Compliment him on that. Find a way where they can really feel good that you love them for them, as opposed to, loving them for the Yiddishkeit they're coming back to or not.
Right.
It's so many times you see that parents really can say, unfortunately, damaging things. Like, what are you doing with your life? You're not doing anything. Get up, you're being a bum. Like, guys, he knows that if he sat in bed for the last 72 hours that he's not doing anything. I promise you. He's the one who knows that. But telling him, hey, you're a bum, I don't think that's the best route.
How much damage does that actually do? I want to ask on a level where, from the classroom perspective also, not just at home. I think parents obviously have they play a big role in their kid's life. But hearing something that is awful, straight up, you're a bum, you're never going to be anything, or something along those lines, via the classroom or at the home, how long could that have an effect on somebody?
Years and years. I actually recently have been working with someone, and he constantly is telling me how his kid isn't doing anything, his kid's not learning, he's not working, he's not this, he's not that. And like literally I'm talking to the guy and he sounds like he doesn't like his child. And you think like the child isn't going to pick up on that, or the child's going to, not notice, and you say, hey, you're doing a great job, but you really feel like he's a bum, then he knows deep down it's not the words that you say, it's the actions and how you really feel, and he's going to portray that. And I see the kid literally whenever he's around his dad, and I've seen him around his dad, he's a totally different person. Like I said to the kid, I was like, hey, you did a great job. Like he worked with me. I brought him in. I wanted to give him a little bit of a job. And he worked with me and he did fantastic. I just gave him a few compliments, said you did a really good job. The kid was lighting up. He was amazing. I'm not saying I fixed the kid's life, but I'm saying this kid's father didn't even realize, like he's constantly trying to push him to do a job, to do this, to do that. Just be his dad. Just love him. And he's going to grow up. Kids grow up. Teenage years are hard years, but pushing them and damaging, I'm saying it could last for years. The kid's really not doing well because it's hard.
And the final words for parents who are at home, who haven't gotten to this place yet, where they've accepted, I guess, the challenge they're going through, and with the mindset of we want to take the steps towards helping ourselves. What would you say to them to motivate them to take that step?
Listen, everybody has challenges in parenting. You guys are set with HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you the challenge of this challenging kid. Why go through it blindly? Why go through it? You haven't experienced this before. You don't know. This is not normal parenting. You don't know the right thing to do. It's not just like, okay, he does this, you do that. Why not seek the help of the parents who have been doing it for a few years, who have been getting the help, the professionals, the great, amazing speakers? There are people like Nachi over here. Come on, guys. Like, this is the place to be. Let's make this a special moment. Come be with everybody and learn from everybody else's experience, from their failures, from their wins, and see that there is a positive outcome, that coming to this program really does help. And I've seen so many parents with just huge smiles on their face, with tears of joy, because they're finally getting the answers and the tools they need to deal with this challenging situation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
This is your dad? Okay, and we're now being joined by our previous guest father. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First
Tough
of all,
act to follow.
I know, right? Your son is incredible. Off the bat, I really just want to ask, as a parent, having patience while a child is suffering or in pain or acting out, what's that like? What are some things you could tell yourself, or that you have told yourself in the past, to just stay calm and stay patient and ride it through?
Well, I have a saying, it's better to be effective than to be right. So you could be right and ineffective and stand on principle when it doesn't work. So that's like the message that plays in the back of my head. Do I want to fix things, or do I want to be known as I'm right?
Right. And what would you say is your takeaway from a Shabbos like this? Over the last 72 hours, a lot has gone down here. A lot of really impactful sessions.
Right.
Incredible people, parents who are here to improve and just understand their children better. What's the takeaway for you?
Well, one is we're not alone. Every parent, when they're hit by huge development in the house, catastrophe is a lot of times they collapse inside, thinking that this is my fault. What did I do? What did we do? What did my husband do? What did my wife do? And that's really very counterproductive and destructive. But when you see that there's so many other people from Hasidish, Litvish, and all different backgrounds and different levels of socioeconomic stature and religious observance, different levels, different ways of doing it, and everybody's suffering pretty much the same way. So it's nothing specific to you or your community. It's just a phenomenon that's occurring all over, and we're just one of many, and therefore we have a support group. And the connection with the child can't be used or bartered with. It's something that's a precious resource to use to save the children.
Yeah. And what do you think Kesher Nafshi brings to the table?
Well, Kesher Nafshi, as the name implies, is the tight connection to the child's soul. And that's, if you think it's bad now, God forbid a child without that connection to their parents is only going to be exponentially worse. It's not that our connection is going to make them worse or enable them to do more bad things. When we understand that the root of this is in pain, in confusion, and in loss, a relationship with parents is settling and takes away from the confusion. At least they have a few solid things in their life that they can depend on and lean on, which is the difference between an overdose and not, a suicide and not, or healthy choices. And if the child makes like one or two healthy choices because of that relationship, that could be life-altering, and that's priceless.
And your advice for parents who are at home that haven't taken this step yet to join the Kesher Nafshi family and
come to the next Shabbaton. But besides that,
yeah, like what advice? Like, let's say they're scared to take that step. Well, what can they do, like practically speaking, to push themselves?
They should reach out to somebody they trust. Don't be ashamed. You're not the only one. This is nothing to be ashamed about. And the more people you speak to, the more likely you are to come across a spark of hope, and then get connected to the right group or right advice. And silence is deadly in this type of situation.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us and sharing that with us. Okay, as we move on, I think I've never spoken to this many people in this short period of time. Shabbos is long, and it was beautiful. It was really nice. There were hundreds of people here, and we are continuously being joined by incredible professionals right over here in this seat. And we're now being joined by an incredible guest.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Go ahead, introduce yourself. Let everyone know who you are, what you do.
Especially since I'm incredible best. I'm sure Nachi knows who I am.
Of course.
Amari Stoudemire.
All the way from New York.
Yes. I'm Reuven Menlowitz. I am a therapist out of Muncie, LCSW. And I have a privilege to be a part of Kesher Nafshi already. It's probably a couple of years right now. So glad to be here and be a part of it all.
It's beautiful. What do you think you're walking away from this Shabbos, if you could sum it up into one lesson or one feeling that you're going to get into your car tomorrow, you're going to start the car, and you're probably going to be, feeling tired because nobody here slept. What's that feeling? Like, wow, this is what I'm feeling.
So I'm going to surprise you with this one, because actually I came in here Thursday night, and then I left about an hour before Shabbos. So when I came back right after Shabbos, so I'll tell you what my feeling is. It's like a feeling like you missed out. Everyone's on this super high and like really, really connected. And like you're trying to like feel then like, where was my Shabbos and compared to this Shabbos? And you're trying to get into the mode. And it's so like, energized. And to try to catch up with that. That's but I have been here for Shabbos in the past, so I know what people are experiencing. And like there were certain people who I even sat down to meetings with, and I said like, okay, I'll see you now, and then let's meet again Motzei Shabbos. We'll see how the magic works,
Absolutely.
And we'll do it again.
So what do you think parents at home who have not yet taken the step to be part of the Kesher Nafshi family, they are going through pain though, and it's a struggle, and it may not be easy to, take that step, become very vulnerable. What can they do, or what would you tell them if they're sitting right in front of you?
Right. So there actually are a bunch of parents that are here that have been clients of mine. I encourage them. Sometimes I even sponsor them to be here because I really believe it can be an effective intervention. And when they get to hear and see and feel that you express that nafshik shur b'nafshi yourself, they kind of wonder, like, where do you get that from? You know, how can you see things in that lens? And you can turn them to this direction, and people can get quite a lot from it.
Rabbi Ruvain, Dr. Ruvain.
Rabbi Ruvain.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Alrighty.
Really appreciate
Good job.
it.
Take care.
Thank you. We're going to take a couple-minute break, and we will be right back here at the Kesher Nafshi stage. We are back, and we're here with a big guest, the founder of Kesher Nafshi, the founder of everything that we have here. This beautiful Shabbos is not possible without the work of Rabbi Gedalia Miller. Could you tell us a little bit your inspiration to start such an incredible organization?
So basically in 2015, I got involved with parents with kids at risk due to my own situation. And we were doing what we call the tipul of helping our children and building relationships with our children, going on trips, being there for them, loving them unconditionally, and building that relationship and to be able to have a calm and normal collective home. Doing that, Baruch Hashem, I'm not in that situation, but many parents that deal with drugs and risky behaviors or dealing with kids getting arrested and stuff like that takes a very big toll on the parents. I couldn't watch parents continuously giving and giving and giving without getting a chance for themselves. It's almost like, for instance, Kashanovshi, when somebody has a child with cancer,
right.
Those parents get a lot of support from Chai Lifeline or from others outside, and they get, people take the kids out, people help them bring gifts to the kids. But for us, nothing ever happens for us as parents. I said we have to do something for the parents. So we did a small get-together for the men. The ladies had a small women's retreat that we did for about 50 women, had a private house and a 3-day retreat in Morristown, which worked out unbelievable. They took care of everything. And then we did our first in Lava Malka at the end of the year. We ended up having 250 parents. Yes, sorry. We had 250 parents that actually came to Lava Malka, not a fundraiser, just to get chizik. We were very lucky and fortunate to have pomegranate. I'll put in a small plug for pomegranate that donated all the food. My daughter Suri, Sarah Gibbs, is a party planner. She did the whole thing from the beginning to the end. And Avrami Klein at that time donated all the other expenses, whatever incurred. And Rabbi Waiwa Jacobson, Baruch Hashem, came and graced us with an hour and a half of pure chizik and pumped into us. That's where the brainchild of having a Shabbaton for these parents, we saw how much it gave to them. Just one night, an hour, cocktail hour, and then a couple of hours of chizik at night. They walked away pumped, excited, inspired to continue doing the Avodas HaKodesh of helping our children.
What would you say is the most rewarding part, for you at least, of being the head of such an organization, accomplishing so much, seeing, you know, the tears of joy from parents as they walk out of here with just more tools, more equipped to deal with their children?
So basically for me, I would say that I might be addicted to doing this. I don't know. We did our 4th event now in 13 months. We did one worldwide. We hope to do another one at Israel, hopefully. The phone calls that are coming in every single day for parents that need chizik, that need help. We're not set up for that, so I don't want people to think that we are set up to have an office like that. We're not set up yet. But basically, it's every single time we do an event like this, we think, yeah, people came 6 months ago and they're not going to come back, or we're not going to get new people to come. And every single week we get more and more parents that want to come to our events. They walk away with chizik. You know, our biggest inspiration now is, I think we are the unsung heroes of Klal Yisrael, the parents, that if you have parents from Lakewood, from Borough Park, from Williamsburg, from Monroe, from Monsey, from every type of Satmar and Belz and Babiv and Ge and Spink and Chabad and Modern Orthodox and Woodmere, every person in Klal Yisrael, Sephardic people, we made 4 different minyanim of a Sikh minyan. at 8 o'clock minyan, at 8:30 minyan, at Chabad minyan. Everybody gets along. We had a Farbrengen for Chabad. We had a different setting. We bought Ashkenaz Sidurim, Tehillas Hashem Sidurim, Sifat Sidurim. It was such an eclectic group, so cohesive. People came back excited, inspired. They want to come back again and again and again. Plus all the materials, quality material. We had Gidrit Sneas, whoever wanted to have separate seating, had separate seating. We did family seating for the ones that needed it and wanted it, and they needed it for different reasons. We had special women's programs. It's the only place where actually you come and sit with therapists for free, as long as it takes. Therapists are sitting up till 4 o'clock in the morning for parents for free. It's really, I would call this a transformational weekend. It's a 4-day weekend, not like you come in there Friday afternoon and run out Sunday morning or Motzei Shabbos. It's 4 full days, and it was an unbelievable. And that's what drives me to continue doing it.
Well, Klal Yisrael really needs you to keep doing it. Mitzvah Hashem, we all daven for the day where Kesher Nafshi wouldn't have to exist, and Mitzvah Hashem, all our children should be on the path, be on the right path to Mashiach Tzidkenu. You know, but
thank you.
It's not going to happen without you. Keep doing what you're doing, because this is changing the world. This is my first Shabbos ever being part of Kesher Nafshi, and I've never in my life have experienced what I experienced today over Shabbos. Just seeing a whole room of people who want to grow, who know that, you know, there are faults and there's struggles, and they accept that and they talk about it. What you've built it's a chiddush. It really is.
Not only me, I really have to give a shout out to all my people that are really helping. Gingy Markowitz.
He's not talking about me when he says Gingy.
No. Heinrich Korman, Shlomi Litzman, Ashley Rosenberg. And we have a whole women's team that helped us out, Mrs. Stroh and Mrs. Litzman and Dasi Benon, and now we have Rosie Kaufman, and we're continuously adding more and more people that are helping us, Mindy Markowitz and Chagiti Rosenberg, and many people that really, I don't want to say, I forget names, Ellie Kaufman, every day Mrs. Walter that did all the bags personally for them. And really, we pay attention to everybody. I really have to thank all these people for driving me to do it. Also have to do a shout out to Yisrael Fried from Lakewood that really helped us cover many parents in Lakewood to be able to come. Lakewood, really, I have to give a thank you to Lakewood for accepting us warmly and giving us that opportunity to actually be able to make it for over 60 new families from Lakewood that came. And thank you to Hashem that we were able to do such a Shabbos in such a crisis time, a critical time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Gadol Miller. And we are now going to be joined by Rabbi Daniel Kalish, who, what can I say, he was incredible over Shabbos. And we had an amazing panel today, amazing session today with Rabbi Kalish. And I would say that our session today was supposed to be a questions and answers, but it was really a question and answer, like many of them end up being. But you did an incredible job. What is your takeaway from a Shabbos like this at Kesher Nafshi?
Wow, first of all, thank you, Nachi. You did a great job over Shabbos, and it was an honor for me to be around Nachi this Shabbos amongst all the different experiences. Somebody who's being there for the tzibur and just putting out good content and making everybody bringing inspiration to everybody. So thank you, Nachi, for all the work.
It's very kind. Thank you.
I want to say about Shabbos that parents are powerful, and I think all of us as parents underrate our power. There are challenges in Olam HaNisayon. Parents, in some secular ways of viewing things, in a cancel culture, are saying toxic relationship, cancel mom, cancel dad, and we come from a different world. Parents are the answer, not the problem. I think we have to chazer that. Parents are the answer, not the problem. I think coming off such a Shabbos of really special people all over the place, I sat at the same table with Nachi and we got to watch.
What a gift. What a surprise. What a gift. Friday night, not sure who we're going to sit next to, and who do I sit next to? Rabbi Daniel Kalish and his family. That was awesome.
A
really
big honor for me and my family, but we got to witness together parents leaning in. I want to say a story that I experienced. I don't know much from politics. I'm just not my speed. You want to talk sports, I'm in. Politics, Republican, Democrat, I haven't figured it out. I don't really care that much, to be honest. And the governor of Connecticut, somebody asked me to meet with him. Two governors, his name was Daniel Malloy, maybe we're fellow Daniels, I don't know why. Somebody wanted me to meet with him. And he was not a politician type guy. And he happens to be a fascinating guy. He's dyslexic. And Daniel Malloy cannot read or write. And he was the governor of the richest state in America. And I asked him off the record, and he's not a political guy and is no longer in politics. And I asked Daniel Malloy that here there must have been a lot of naysayers. You can't read and write. I'm sure you had many teachers and many people in your life. I don't say Rabbi, he's not a Yid, and Rabbi wouldn't talk this way, but you have many people, I'm sure, who are naysayers. And I asked the governor, did that motivate you? I'm very competitive. I believe, Nachi, are you a competitive guy?
Absolutely,
Hockey.
absolutely.
Good old monk guy, Yeshiva Farak. So us competitive guys, if we had naysayers saying you can't and you won't, that would motivate me to try harder. And I asked him, were you motivated by all the naysayers? And is what you got, you're the governor of the richest state in Connecticut, the richest state in America, did that motivate you? And he said no. So I was like surprised. Like I thought that was, of course he would see I was motivated. He said no, I wasn't motivated by that. So I asked him, how do you figure? And he said something very serious. He said, my mother always believed in me. None of the naysayers made a difference because my mother believed in me. And just in the most real ways, a parent is powerful. The love of dad, the love of mom is really, really powerful. To me, the takeaway from Shabbos, seeing parents caring, real care, all Shabbos, the conversation are parents who have overwhelming love of their children, but more than love, they're zoned in and tuned into the nuances of their kids' journey, and seeing the power of caring and loving parents, hearing the story of caring and loving parents, to me it's something that all of us should walk away and know we're powerful as parents. We could do tremendous amounts. Lean into our kids' journey, understand, lean in, be a support, be somebody who's a good guide and advisor, and all of us should see tremendous nachas from our children.
Amen, Rabbi Kalish, thank you so much. Enjoy the Malava Malka.
Thank you, Nachi.
All right.
Thanks a ton.
And our last guest that we're going to have on for this evening, and then we're all going to have a good party. We're all going to stop talking. Yes, okay. Rabbi Yossi Ben Shushan. I feel like both of you. I feel like both of you should be sitting here.
I would love to do a thing with Rabbi Kalish, just so that I get him for that amount of time.
Yeah,
no one else is going to want to jump in the camera.
We're going to keep you for a very short time because we have Malava Malka, and because you have a really. Where do you get your suit cut?
Because I drive to all these things. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's
Where's
the best.
Nathan Hale?
It's the best.
I think Nathan
It's
Hale
the best.
Is right over there.
Are we live?
The gazebo.
Shalom, shalom.
I think it's...
There's some security. We're having a security issue. Everybody wants Nachi's autograph. That's the problem. Everybody wants Nachi's autograph.
By the way,
and it's difficult to...
That was our Pinchas Young. Thomas Kocham asking me for directions.
I didn't see it was Pinchas Young.
I'm not going to just like...
Right, yeah, you weren't going to, yeah.
I'm surprised nobody tackled him, but...
He had the best stuff. Oh, his stuff today was amazing.
I feel wrong for doing this. Ari, your brother Ari should be here. 2 cents.
I thought you just called me Ari. I was like, you should feel wrong for doing it.
Ari should be here. It should be Ari and Yossi.
Anyway, yeah, my suit. It's stretchy.
It is.
So I have to drive to these things. I don't like flying.
From Cleveland.
Have to drive.
From Cleveland.
Yeah, from Cleveland. So last night, and then I got stopped in the middle of whatever. Last night was like an 8-hour drive, or 2 nights ago. It was like an 8-hour drive. I have to sleep in the car sometimes. So I need a stretchy suit so that...
Can we please sponsor a Delta Miles card for Rabbi?
It's not what it is.
Wait. We have 1,000 miles sponsored already for Rabbi. Anyways, let's get to it so we can all just eat and enjoy. Your takeaway from this Shabbos, the feeling that you're going to get into your car tomorrow. You'll probably be tearing up and very emotional on your ride home to Cleveland.
Yeah.
What's the feeling from Shabbos?
I'll be honest with you. Nachi, I'm going to be honest with you here. This time I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, a major shout out to you, to your wife who came. your
To
daughter, Rosie. I didn't
who's-
want to say her name. I don't know if you say her name or not. To Rosie, who's adorable.
Who's sleeping right now, and I just jinxed it again.
What are you doing? How did you not learn your
We're
lesson?
leaving tonight, so she's going to wait.
To Rosie, who's now my best friend. Rosie and I are
Yes.
best friends. But also to her anytime who showed up to that, and that's really, I'm mentioning it for a reason. I come to a Shabbos like this for myself. I come here for myself. This is my Shabbos away a little bit, because even though I'm here and I'm talking to everyone and I'm speaking and I'm doing all the normal things that I would do on a regular Shabbos, but at this Shabbos it's different. And so many people, a lot of times, not so many people, a lot of times people call me and they're like, can you come do this Shabbos? They're like, we're asking you to fly out, 6-hour flight and be here from Thursday to Sunday, and we'd rather you not bring your family. We're not paying, but you're going to love the people that are there. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to make it. They're like, no, it's going to be very good food. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to be okay. It's fine, But to Kesher Nafshi, it's a different situation.
Right.
You come here, and literally everyone over here is a walking book.
Really, yeah.
They all have this unbelievable story and history and idea, and it's so beautiful. The biggest part about it, though, is the vulnerability. The fact that what they're here for is to share that. Is to share that story, is to share those ideas, is to share those experiences and those pains and laughing and crying. And you know me, I give a speech, I can't not make a joke. I can't not make a thing. And I was giving one, and I felt bad, but I had to make it. I couldn't. And a lady came over to me afterwards, and she's like, I want you to know how much I appreciate those jokes. Because it got heavy, and it was so heavy, but we want to laugh also. And it so made the whole thing human to me. The whole concept was so human to me then, because they were like, we want to laugh too. It's not, we're not after trying to have a problem here. We want to laugh also. The big takeaway, though, was probably anything that came out of Rabbi Kalish's mouth. I'm saying...
Best buds now, by the way.
I'm saying... Everything that comes out of his mouth,
sure.
It's not, and by the way, it's not what he says, which is all Torah and gorgeous. It's how he says it.
Yeah.
It's that his slavos, that life that he loves giving over with it. Rabbi
Kalish handshake and smile could turn a cat into a lion.
It's so true. It's so true. And he gets right up into you, and he's like, and you're like, you feel alive. So Rabbi Kalish was incredible, but really the parents, the people that were here are my big takeaway always. And honestly, I had to miss a Kesher Nafshi in the middle, but I've been running on the fumes of the last one, and I know I'm good for another few months right now from what I gained from this week. Really, I get to go in. I want to go home. I want to hug my kids. I want to hug my Talmidim. I'm so supercharged to get back into things.
Beautiful.
Great.
Beautiful. Yossi, thank you so much. It was incredible spending Shabbos with you.
Always.
And everyone who's watching right now, keep watching, because we are going to be picking this up by the Melavo Malka live.
Ooh, ah.
This is Nachi Gordon signing out. This is Rabbi Yossi Ben Shushan, and we will see you on the next episode of 2 Cents Podcast.